As the new year approaches and all of us are setting big goals, I want to bring your focus back to the non-negotiables. In today's video, I will be talking about 5 systems that you set at the start of every year, and they practically hold your entire year together. Now, of course, I encourage you to be more ambitious and set big goals for 2026, but goals are super subjective. My goals are going to be different than your goals, but something that can help all of us is having a system that encourages growth, a system that welcomes opportunities that will come across you this new year. So let's get into it. System number 1, a task management system. A task management system is essentially made up of 3 components: a calendar, a to-do list, and your notes. At the start of every year, set your recurring events in your calendar first. This is the very first step. You should set all of the predictable events that are going to happen in the future. For example, paying your rent every single month, going to the doctors every single 6 months or 3 months, even paying your subscriptions or paying your insurance, anything along those lines, things that are recurring throughout your year. Once you have that out of the way, we can now move on to your day-to-day activities. Every single time you get a task, they might fall into either of these 4 categories: small tasks that are urgent, big tasks that are urgent, small tasks that are not urgent, and big tasks that are not urgent. For small tasks that are urgent, you're gonna put them into your to-do list. For me, I use this for my to-do list. It's very compact. I can carry this everywhere. It just works fine for me. But if you prefer, you can also just have it in your phone or on your laptop. For big tasks that are urgent, they go directly into your notes. For me, I will explain the purpose of notes in a bit, but for me, I just put them directly here. Small tasks that are not urgent go into your calendar. I just use my laptop for my calendar. You can also use a physical one. And big tasks that are not urgent go both into your notes as well as your calendar. Now, at the end of the day, you must have an audit with yourself and take a look at your notes. All of the big tasks that you have in here, urgent ones as well as non-urgent ones. And then condense these tasks into smaller tasks. For example, you might have a presentation which is due day after tomorrow. You're going to condense this into doing research and making the presentation itself. You integrate these tasks into your to-do list. So what you've now done is you've taken that big task and condensed it into a smaller task, which you can implement actionably tomorrow or any other day that is appropriate for that particular urgency level. Of course, once you condense your tasks, it is very important to keep in mind the urgency of the task, which is why I even segmented them into bigger tasks that are urgent versus bigger tasks that are not urgent. Tasks that are urgent don't go into your calendar because you must give them your entire focus, especially the big ones. I mean, think about it, right? You wouldn't want to have a presentation that is due day after tomorrow in your calendar. You're most likely thinking about it anyways. What is important, however, is to condense them in your notes and integrate them in your to-do list for today and your to-do list for tomorrow so that you're well prepared on the day of the presentation. Once you've set these 3 components of your task management system, I can assure you that you're never gonna fall behind on anything, because you don't just have a general overview of all of your tasks, but you also have a way of focusing on today while keeping track of your future plans. Next system is to have a morning and evening template. Now, notice how I said template and not a routine, because templates are more adaptable than routine. You can't set one routine and expect yourself to stick to it for a whole year, right? Templates are more adaptable. For me, my morning template is getting up and freshening up, doing some kind of a physical activity, doing some kind of a mind activity, and closing my morning with a work activity. Some days I might get up, work out at home, do meditation, and then review my to-do list. Other days I might go out for a run, come back with a peaceful walk, which is my mind activity, and then journal about the rest of my day and what I'm going to be doing instead of looking at the to-do list. I think you get the idea. The evening routine is also very similar. I do some kind of a version of winding down or relaxing. Then I do some kind of a reflection, talking to a friend, maybe even journaling once again. I plan for the next day, whether by setting my to-do list for the next day or even just packing my bag for tomorrow. These are my templates, but you are allowed to tailor these templates to your own requirements. Of course, the goal here is to have a template and not a routine, because templates allow you to change your mind. There might be days when your energy levels are low. There might be days when you might not feel that motivated to work. And it is very important to have a template that you can adapt your routine into without being too restrictive for yourself. System 3 is a digital cleanup. Have you ever had those moments where your workspace is cluttered and you genuinely cannot work? I think the same applies even for your digital space. Take the time to delete all the files that you don't need. Organize all of the important files into specific folders. If you're a student, you can organize them by class. And this doesn't just apply to your laptop. Also, take the time to clean your smartphone. Delete all of those screenshots that you don't need anymore. Delete any apps that you don't need anymore. Move all of your social media apps away from the home screen. That's a big one. The idea is to have a digital space where you can thrive, especially in today's time when phone addiction and social media addiction has become such a big problem. You must make sure that you are using your devices in a way that is the most productive for you. And on that note, System 5, also take the time of day to arrange all of your physical documents. For me, I organize my documents as legal and biometric, medical and miscellaneous, and academic and any other certificates that I have. Even if you already have all of your documents organized in separate folders, it is very important to review these documents once, at least every year, so that you can keep a track of all of the documents that you have and request new documents if you notice that anything is missing. It is so important to be proactive about these things, because you might as well request the document, get it done with at the start of the year, than get a panic attack when you actually need the document urgently. Furthermore, scan all the documents that you think you might need a digital copy of later in the year. Once again, these are very basic things, but these are often things that we tend to ignore, and I have seen so many people struggle to find documents at times when they urgently need it, and it creates major delays in their life events. I have seen people literally have their visas delayed. I've seen people not get into universities because they can't find a transcript for their high school. All of these are nightmare examples that you want to avoid, especially stepping into 2026. And finally, because we are stepping into the new year and you want to take advantage of your openness to adapt new habits and new activities, System 5 is to adopt one new habit. Now, instead of forcing this new habit into your routine, implement it with habit stacking. You might have heard about habit stacking before, but if not, it is this theory that is popularized by James Clear. New habits tend to stick better when they are built on top of pre-existing habits. So if the new habit that you want to adopt is meditation, and your pre-existing habit is drinking coffee, you might meditate for 5 minutes while your coffee is brewing. Of course, going to a meditation class might even be better for you. But if your goal is to truly be consistent with this habit that you plan to implement, it is important to integrate it into your routine so that you can naturalize it rather than see it as a chore and ultimately give up on it. As long as you're drinking your coffee, you're gonna be meditating, and that adds up, especially at the end of the year. That is it for today's video. Now remember, setting resolutions is not the difficult part. It is important, but it is not difficult. Most of us already know what is good for us and what we want to try out in the new year. But what's the most important is to have a good foundation that you can implement these resolutions on top of. A system that encourages you to stick to these new resolutions that you make. So set these 5 systems first and let them run in the background while you live your life and make great progress with your resolutions. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.